This podcast is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with the mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcasts and harness the power of podcasting. Book now via www.kangaroofern.com.
A Kangaroo Fern production.
A Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate.
Thing we can do is just get stops and run. Stops and run, guys. Push, push, push every time.
Extra session with Kiko Malikdem tackles everything about the world of sports, especially the one close to the host's heart, basketball. Updates, discussion, clarification, name it. Extra session has it. Extra session with Kiko Malikdem. Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Extra Session with Kiko Malikdem here in Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, Philippines. This is Season 2, Episode 6, and today we are very fortunate to have with us one of the first rounders in the recently concluded PBA Rookie Draft. Standing 6 foot 10 inches from Young Harris College and De La Salle Green Archers, James Matthew Laput. Good day, James.
Hi, thanks for having me. Let's get to it.
Glad to have you in our program. Anyway, how are you doing right now, especially with all this pandemic stuff going on?
Well, I mean, first of all, I gotta say thank you to Terrafirma. So, if it weren't for Boss Bobby and Doc Ivy and especially my agent PJ, this pandemic would be a lot harder. That's for sure. Okay, so. Terrafirma's given me a chance, and here I am. So I'm rolling with it, man. I'm pretty good.
Yeah. So a lot of people, even though you have played for La Salle, are still clueless about you. So how things started for you in basketball? Was it, let's say, love at first sight?
Well, I mean, I think it's the same with me, with everybody. Like basketball, when I first started, was playing with my friends, and that love and that want to grow, it just went with it. And next thing you know, down the line, I went from Australia, and then I went to America for 4 years, and then after that, of course, I had my stint with La Salle. Then I had the one game with the D League before COVID decided to appear. And then had my Chooks to Go stint. And then here we are in the PBA. So all of it, though, was, of course, channeled for my love and my passion to grow with the game.
I see. So you're considered as a Phil Australian. Who among your parents is the Filipino?
Well, the funny thing is that both of my parents are Filipino.
Okay.
They're so the only reason I'm considered a Phil foreigner is because I was born in Australia. So I think that's just that old rule. I don't know what it is, but even if both your parents are Filipino, if you're born in another country, you're a Phil foreigner. I think Andre Paras had the same thing, right? Both his parents. His parents, Benji Paras. Like, wow.
But then it's like what you said, Andre. He was born in U.S. and then his brother Kobe was born in Kansas City. Something like
right. So it's like one's a Phil foreigner and one isn't. It's just like, well, dang, okay. So, that's just how it is, and you just got to go with it, man. That's what life is. It is what it is, and you just got to work it out. So.
Okay, so before you went to play for La Salle, were you able to visit the country, or is it only during the time when you confirmed playing for the Green Archers that you were able to get hold of the Philippines?
Well, I mean, I visited when I was younger,
Okay.
so I think until the age of about 11. So I can't remember that far back. I don't know if anyone can, but. From a young age, I was coming back and forth from the Philippines for Christmas. But then, from my adolescent teenage years, I never came back for holiday. Things happened. And then, the most recent time I came back to the Philippines was La Salle.
Yeah.
And, the only thing I knew coming into the Philippines was Filipinos are crazy about basketball and they're crazy about Jollibee. So I'm like, I mean, it's both things that I love, food and basketball, so it should be good. And I mean, I've been loving it ever since. So, Serapion Chicken Joy, that's how it is.
Yeah, and you said you grew up in Australia. Now, how was it growing up with a country that is actually not known as a basketball loving one?
Yeah. Well, that's one in itself, isn't it? Because in Australia, the leading sport is our own football, which isn't even anything to do with American football or football like soccer. Like it's our own football. And then we've got cricket, if you're aware of that.
Yes.
And then we've got a ton of sports, honestly. And basketball at the time growing up was like 5th, 6th in the popularity list.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's only just now picking up steam because, we had like LaMelo Ball in the league and we've had James Ennis, who's in the NBA now. We've had a bunch of great players.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's just now. So yeah, growing up in Australia, I mean, basketball, it really was. It's just like you did it for fun. You did it to enjoy being in a club, being with teammates, going to practice. Whereas I guess, in the States, it's like, we're breeding you to become the next LeBron James, kind of thing. So in Australia, it was a bit more laid back. But I mean, it just worked out for me regardless because of my own passion. So,
who were your early basketball idols?
Early? How early are we going? Like when I first started?
Yes.
Okay, for sure. When I first started, like Shaquille O'Neal was definitely one because he was on the cover of what I think it was NBA 2K7. NBA 2K7. That was the first NBA 2K I played. So, of course, he was one of them because, I mean, he's a big, gigantic dude. No one could stop him. But then I also really loved and appreciated the games of Kobe and Iverson and T-Mac as well. Yeah. So, growing up, those guys were my idols because, I mean, just like how people love, KD, Kyrie today, it's just like they were so flashy, and it's just like, dang, of course I want to be like that.
How about the PBA? I mean, when you grew up, have you heard about the league already? And who were you? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'd never really heard of anybody from the PBA till when I got older and learned about LaSalle and UP. I mean, I was familiar with the PBA when I got older, but it just, for me, it was like, I never really delved into it. So it's nothing against the PBA. It's just I never grew beyond the NBA until I started my own professional journey.
Mm-hmm.
So.
What made you decide to play your one and done season with LaSalle? Were there other schools who tried to lure you to play for them instead?
Oh yeah, there were other schools. For one, UP. UP was the front runner, to be honest, because given their situation, they needed ceiling. Of course, they had Bright Akweti, and he was coming off an MVP season. But for me, the selling point with LaSalle was the color green. No, I'm just joking. the selling point for me with LaSalle was, it was Danny Siegel reaching out to my family. I know that Jamie Malonzo talks about Danny Siegel all the time, and Danny Siegel brought Jamie in, me in, Keyshawn in, the other one and done at the time. And as a matter of fact, Roosevelt Adams would have potentially been our teammate at LaSalle.
Okay.
Had he not been 6 days too old with the deal out. So
Damn.
yeah, like it's a small world, but that guy Danny Siegel, man, on and off the court, he's making moves. So uh, that's because of him. I was really at LaSalle. So
I see. Now, your basketball career in the Philippines started in a not so good note, as people. Well, actually, I only found out that you were injured. That's why you weren't able to play, that well. Can you recall, or can you share to us what was that injury that hampered your early
right,
basketball career here?
right. Well, I mean, for the record,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the injury itself,
Mm-hmm.
it only ended up being a concussion, and in the big field of injuries, a concussion compared to a lot of the other injuries out there is
Okay.
it's really not that big at all.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
So you want to start a podcast? Or perhaps you've already started one, but you're still unclear on how you can actually make this podcasting work. No worries. That's why we're here for you. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Join our network. Contact us at info@kangaroofern.com because we're stronger together.
for me, the only reason I had been kept out of the whole second half of the UAP, minus I
Mhm.
think the last game, was
Mhm.
because of concussion protocols. And you have to follow protocols.
Yes.
Otherwise, there will be really bad side effects. So, of
Mhm.
course, me learning to become a professional, of course, I had to follow the protocols. And
I see.
yeah, that essentially was it. My injury. No, I didn't break my back. Okay, like what everyone says I did.
Yes.
All right. No, I didn't get decapitated. Okay, I still have a head. All right. All that happened was that I had a bad landing, and then off a dunk that I made.
Yes.
Okay, I made the dunk. I had a bad landing, and I ended up having concussion.
I
And
see.
because of the concussion, I wasn't allowed to play, even though I was walking, jumping, running. I wasn't allowed to play.
I see.
Uh,
And then you played in the United States for the 4 years in college. What was the
right.
difference of basketball there uh, compared to the UAAP?
Let's see. Well, for one, the UWA, the UAP,
Yes.
it was a different speed. I would say that for sure.
Mhm.
And I would, to be honest, say it was more physical.
Mm.
You could get away with more things in the US compared to the US. In the
Mhm.
US, they're sticklers for fouls. At least that was in my conference. Every other conference is different. Every ref in every conference is different.
Mhm.
But in my conference, they were sticklers for fouls. So the refs, they would call anything. Like if that person's jersey moved in one different way, that's a foul on you.
Wow.
So that's why coming to the UAP, it was like, I'm playing US defense, like not, trying to touch them, and they're pushing and shoving and like all this kind of stuff, and then they're like, yo, that's aggressive defense, and like he's soft. It's just like I'm just playing how I played for 4 years. You know what I mean?
Were you shocked?
So like it's just how it is, and it was an adjustment.
Yes.
But I can say it was a good experience, to say the least. Because of that, I would say the initial introduction into Philippine basketball,
Mhm.
even though it was at the collegiate level, it was a pleasant one at that.
I see. Okay, so people started to notice you. I mean, that you can really play when you joined the 3x3 in Chukstago. Now, what was the adjustment of going 5-on-5 to 3x3?
I would definitely say that there was no breaks. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
5-on-5, a call a foul, and then there'll be a stoppage of play. Ball will roll out of bounds. There'll be a stoppage of play. The other team scores. You can, jump back on defense and just wait there. 3x3, that's going, man. That is going. Like they score, you score. They score, you score. It's like there is no stopping in 3x3. So there was an adjustment there as well. However, I think it helped my game for sure. It taught me, throughout the progression of the bubble, we had, I think, 5 legs.
Yeah.
From leg 1 to the last leg, I improved within that bubble. Simply because of my teammates and because of my willingness to learn the Philippine game even more and more. So, by the end of the bubble, I was sealing harder. I was screening better. I was rolling to the basket harder. I was going up to more rebounds. I was, getting into that right state of mind and into that flow. And I'm confident I can help bring it back into the 5x5.
Yeah. Do you think you'll have a hard time, going back to the 5-on-5 situation?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just math. I just have to account for 4 more people on the court, and then there you go. It'll be all right.
And then it's a longer court,
Yeah, hell, it's longer,
bigger space.
But I grew up playing 5-on-5, so the transition back I think it'll be an easier transition than going from 5-on-5 to 3x3.
Yes.
But the values and the way 3x3 plays, the aggressiveness, the physicality, we all saw the physicality, okay? That will help in my PBA career.
Now, let's talk about recently concluded PBA draft. Were you really surprised that you were picked in the first round? Moreover, it's more like the 8th pick overall. Or were you already expecting that by the first round, you'll be drafted already?
Well, for me, I went in with an open mind. For me, the draft is a formality. Because there's plenty of talent everywhere. Let's be honest. We know it. You know it. All the viewers know it. There's talent everywhere, in every pocket, every corner of the Philippines. There's talent, and I know that there are people in that draft that should have gone higher or lower than what they did. So for me, the draft is a formality, but being picked in the first round was an absolute honor. Absolute honor. For Terrafirma to use that 8th pick, which they acquired on me, that just tells me how much they believe in me and how much they want to work with me. So the best I can do is to give them everything I have in terms of willingness to learn, willingness to make any impact, and willingness to adapt into any role that coach gives me. And I think we'll go a good way.
Like you had said, Terrafirma drafted you, and this team lacks the ceiling, the height. And of course, now that they have you, they definitely have a man in the middle. Now, does that put some pressure on you, since of course you're a first rounder, a tall man, a big man, and of course the team will rely on you inside the shaded lane. Does that put some pressure on your shoulders?
Well, I think I would say, in my honest opinion, I put all the pressure on myself. I have more pressure on myself than anybody else, to be honest. I know that there are expectations, and I know that there is a role for me to be played.
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to my attitude and the way that I portray myself and the way I embrace that role as the ceiling on the team. And don't get me wrong, we're all fighting on this team. We all are. There's no how would I say it? There's no shoe-in, I would say. There's no shoe-in for positions as of now. And I know that the coaches have a use and a role for every single one of us on this team. So if Coach John decides to put me as Steph Curry and shoot half-court threes, then God, by God, I'm gonna have to practice those threes, aren't I? But let's be honest, he's gonna put me in the middle, so I know that. Okay, so I'll be embracing that role without a doubt.
I think you'll have a good time with Coach Johns. By the way, did you know that he's also from LaSalle? He was a former.
I did. I know. He is a legend at LaSalle. I know that, and he. It's funny because he took me I was living in Marikina at the time, and he offered to give me a ride home to Marikina. So we went from Paranaque to Marikina. So we had about an hour and a half ride together, and we had a great time. And what was he telling me? He was telling me that at the time at LaSalle, he was being coached by none other than Coach Pamarin.
Oh,
who's the coach right now at LaSalle? So I'm like, that's like the full circle kind of stuff right there, man. But I'm so happy to be with Coach John and Coach Gian, go LaSalle, but and of course all the other coaches. They're lovely.
Oh yeah. Now, in the draft, there were a lot of LaSallians drafted. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did you talk? What did you talk about? Regarding that, since you were teammates, and now there is a big chance. Well, there's a possibility that you will face each other on the court. Were there any chit chat before the draft, after the draft?
Oh yeah, there was plenty of talk before the draft. And then after the draft, it's like we never knew each other. I'm just joking. I'm joking. No, we're all really proud of each other. After all, we all went to the same college, and we're all really, really happy that we're all at the professional level trying to make our mark. And even the ones that I haven't played with, like Santi and Josh Toralba, I never played with those guys. Those guys were before me, but those animo roots, man. We know the grind. We know we went through the same hole, and we carry the same green blood, and we're rooting for each other, even though we're probably gonna punch each other on the court. But that's how it is.
Yeah. Now, speaking of LaSalle, who was your, best friend or closest teammate when you were playing in LaSalle?
Definitely giving him a shout out right here as well. It was Brandon Bates, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The other big Aussie. So, like we go back. Well, we don't go back a long way. We only met for 1 year, but it seems like we've been friends for ages, and he's a great mate of mine. We still talk to this day, and I think he's quietly getting better. So
yeah,
he'll be all right.
That's what I heard. So hopefully in the next season,
Exactly.
Yes. Now, what was your most memorable experience in basketball?
My most memorable experience.
Yes.
Wow.
So far. Yeah.
Gosh, there's been a lot of memorable experiences. Sheesh. Okay. Well, you know what? It probably is one of my most memorable experiences. I've had a lot, okay? But don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But one of my most memorable, and this is going to be super funny, is when I lost my front tooth.
Wow.
during, and it wasn't even practice, by the way. It was literally like a shoot around. It was a shoot around.
Oh.
All
Okay.
right, so it was at Young Harris. It was at Young Harris, my American college, and like what, all that happened was that the guy at the time, my teammate, he just, and it was like slow motion. It was so slow, okay? So it's like slow motion and not even his elbow. It was like his forearm hit my mouth. And all I see and all everybody sees is this white thing just fly in the air. And it just, it was an empty gym and it hits the floor and it makes the sound. And then I'm looking at it. One of my other teammates is looking at it. And my best friend, Seth, at the time, he yells, Coach, James lost his tooth. And man, I was just like, what the heck? Of all things, and it was like, we were in the North Georgia mountains. It was like 11 p.m. And I was like, I'm gonna be toothless for the rest of my life. There's no way I'm getting this tooth back.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting the tooth, and I still have a pretty good smile. I got a gorgeous girlfriend, so I think I have a good smile. So, if I could say memorable, that was definitely one of them for sure.
Okay. Now, we talking about memorable. How about the disappointing experience so far?
A disappointing experience?
Yeah.
Disappointing experience would be, for me, I think it would be D-League.
Oh,
D-League was disappointing. Because for one, it was just one game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was one game, and honestly, I was just getting my feet wet. You know what I mean? You know what I mean by getting my feet wet? Like,
Yes.
it was the first game, and the expectation was, all right, once this game's done, there'll be another game. Get better and get better and get better each game, and then it was just so disappointing when COVID happened.
Yes.
It just honestly ruined all those chances, all those opportunities, and it just created a giant black cloud. It's just like, maybe this is, it's a sign from God. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, this was how this year was meant to go down, and now I don't know what to do. So if I could say disappointing, that definitely is the top of my list on basketball disappointing.
What can you consider your biggest achievement in basketball right now?
Right now,
Mhm.
well, right now,
As of the present.
my biggest achievement is becoming a professional, man. Like, nobody, I bet you, not even my teammates in the US, only pockets of them probably had belief in me. But coming from the US, I was a role player. I played a role, and in the US, it's like only the guys that are stars and drop 30 points a game or like get 20 rebounds a game, only those guys are the ones that play overseas and play professional.
Mhm.
Yet here I am, I've carved out my role. I'm perfecting my role, and so far it's gotten me a professional contract, and I couldn't be any prouder, man.
I see. Now, what are the skills that you think you need to improve on now that you are in the PBA?
Well, I think for me to be more of a
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button now. This podcast is possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
I would say for me to mesh better with my teammates, to not take away from their games. I think developing a 15-foot jump shot, a consistent one, a respectable one, will be able to make the offense run a lot more smoothly. It'll create more options that way. If I have a respectable mid-range jump shot, that brings out the big man to to play defense on me on the perimeter, and then after that, it's just some pick and roll action. That's plenty of room for the guards.
Nice.
And then of course, getting my free throw percentage up, because without a doubt, I'll be getting fouled. And those fouls will be from me running after rebounds, loose ball rebounds, hustle rebounds, everything rebound. Okay, everything to be involved with the rebound. I'm probably gonna catch 2 or 3 fouls. And if we're in the bonus, that's free throws right there, man. That's 3 points. So I need to get that free throw percentage up without a doubt.
Speaking of free throws, you know where this is going. Yeah, in the 3x3, you were shooting with one hand. Is that really
Right.
how you shoot free throws, or are you
Well,
trying to experiment something?
no. Okay, so for me, I admitted to myself, and the first step to improvement is admitting something you're bad at. And I told myself, like, James, you're horrible at free throws, man. So let's take it a step back. Let's go back to the roots. Let's go back to that awkward, embarrassing one hand, form shooting that everyone laughs at you because you're shooting with one hand. We're gonna go back to it, man.
Mhm.
So at the Chooks to Go, I did that. I started, doing my form shooting in the game, and it was falling. And it's actually, coincidentally enough, once I've been here at Terrafirma, this whole week of practice, I've literally been doing shooting. I've been working on my shooting, and the coach at one of the coaches here at Terrafirma, he's getting me to shoot it with one hand. Like, hey, shoot it with one hand, and then we'll try put the second hand on, but if that doesn't work, go back to one hand until you perfect your one hand, and then go back to, so come PBA, if I'm shooting better with one hand in practice, well, we know what hand I'm shooting with, don't we?
Yeah, really. So, well, definitely once the PBA fans were able to see your game, and then they'll be amazed that you'll be shooting one hander during free throws, which we seldom see right now.
Of course.
Now,
Of course, that would be weird.
now, being a big man means you'll be playing under the basket or a shaded lane. Are you ready to face a Japet Aguilar, a Junmar Fajardo, an Ian Sangalang, or definitely a Calvin Abueva?
Right. Well, actually, who was I messaging the other day? I think it was Troy Wright. And we were talking about how, we both feel he's a great fit at Northport because of Greg. Greg Slaughter, he's in there. You know what I mean? Like, and you're not bringing him out, right? So, I jokingly told him, like, that's gonna be my ass in there. Like, let's be honest. When we play Northport, who are we gonna put on Greg? Yeah, you're gonna put James on Greg, that's for sure. So I know that it's coming. Okay, so Greg, Ian, Japheth, Junmar, Motatua, Calvin Abueva, all of them, Vic Manuel, I already know, okay, and I'm mentally getting myself prepared that these guys, they're going to be in there, they're going to know I'm a rookie, and they're going to come for blood, okay?
They're going to bully you.
They're coming for blood, okay? So if I get out of one of those games, like if I get out of any of those games and I don't have like a bruise on me, I don't know. That's like God's miracle right there. Because I'm telling you right now, one of those games, I'm probably going to get hit bad. Okay, that's going to be on the Hoop Junkie. It's going to be on PBA. All this stuff. It's going to be everywhere. Like someone is going to hit me, and I know it's coming. Okay, I know it's coming.
Can you set the record? How tall are you right now? Because from what I saw, from what I read, uh, it's stated that you're 6'10", but then on another
Right.
website you're 6'8". So for the
Six foot
record,
eight.
yeah,
Dang.
for the record, how tall are you?
I mean, I'm 6'10" with shoes on, man. Like, we play basketball with shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like without shoes, I'm 6'9", and I'm pretty sure if I wear shoes, I'm a bit taller than 6'9". So, unless I'm wearing, Vans, then I guess I'm still 6'9", or, but I'm wearing basketball shoes, and, those things are pretty thick. So, that's adding at least half an inch to an inch. So, 6'9" and a half, 6'10". So,
Okay. Now, what jersey number are you going to wear?
number 42.
What's the story
Sure.
behind that 42?
I mean, it's always been my number since college, and wearing it makes me feel at home. Makes me feel comfortable because, like I said before in the interview, I carved out a role in the States wearing number 42, and I'm just perfecting it right now and bringing it into the pros. And of course, coincidentally, it's a shout out to my mentor, Dan Eagle, and my other mentor, Rob Reyes. Both of those guys have made such an impact in my life, and it's just one of those coincidental things, and I'll take it as a sign that, hey, man, 42.
Yes, I was about to say that. 42. It's also the number of Danny Siegel. Now,
Yeah.
we'll have some questions before we end this. This interview. I'll have some quick questions. Tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
Favorite Filipino player.
Jumar.
Favorite NBA player.
LeBron.
Okay. Favorite team in the NBA.
Denver Nuggets.
Okay. Single or taken?
Take it. I almost said single. I was clarifying the question. Okay, take it.
Okay. Now, player that made you say wow in college.
Player that made me say wow in college.
Well, let's just clarify that in the UAAP.
Oh, in the UF. Okay.
Mhm.
Player that made me say wow.
Yeah.
Oof. That's hard. I'm gonna say Richie Rivera. Richie.
Oh yeah. Also
Yeah.
former Lasalite.
Yeah.
Now, the worst injury that you had.
Concussion.
Okay. Favorite Filipino food.
Oh, grabe. Dami, kuya. Binagoon.
Wow, that's good. How is it like playing in front of the big crowd?
I love it. I love it.
Your
Oh, is that a
parents,
quick question, or is that like a? Is that on?
well, you can expound on it.
Okay, love it. Full stop. Love it. Period.
What was your parents' reaction when you told them that you'll be putting your name in the PBA draft?
Excited.
What was their reaction when they found out that you were drafted in the first round?
Tears of joy for sure.
Okay. Now, what do you want? Good defender or good scorer?
Alongside me.
Yes. No, I mean, if given
If
a
I was
chance,
if I was like a GM, if I
yes.
was a coach,
hmm
good defender.
Okay. If we were about to check your gym bag, what thing would we see inside your bag that would surprise us?
might surprise me as well. I have to think about my bag. I don't know what's in that thing. At this point, it could be anything, to be honest. What will surprise you? The smell. It smells bad. Like it hasn't been cleaned. So like that surprises me. So what more someone else?
Yes. Okay. Now, do you have any message to your supporters, your family, your friends, and of course, to the people who look up to you?
Well, I mean, first to my family, thank you for always being there. Thank you for always showing me the love and supporting me. I just hope that I can bring it back to you in time. To my amazing girlfriend, Candace, I love you so much. You know that. And I appreciate you so much and your family. To my agent, PJ Polaris, man, you're the guy behind the scenes, man. You're the man that makes the magic happen. Okay, so keep doing you, man, and I'll keep doing me, and we'll be great. Thank you. And then, of course, my newfound family. Oh, well, I'll get to that one next. My old family in the States, my college, and then, of course, my LaSallian community, Animo LaSalle. And then now, and my Chooks to Go family, Big Boss Cement 3x3. And then, of course, my newfound family in Terrafirma. Thank you for taking a chance on me. And to all the fans out there in PBA, Terrafirma, NBA, whoever's watching, I'll just have to say three words. Magtiwala sa proyekto.
Okay. Trust the process.
Don't trust the project.
Magtiwala
sa proyekto.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully, cross our fingers, everything will be fine.
Yes, boss.
Okay, so
thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Extra Session this week. And I would like to thank, first of all, our guest, James Laput. I wish you success on your basketball career. And of course, hope we can do it again soon. And of course, thank you also to PJ Pilares and the Titan Management Group, TMG, for this opportunity to, for us to interview James. And again, to our viewers, supporters, listeners, this has been Kiko Malikdem, and in behalf of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate Philippines, games are always exciting if there is extra session. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit our website at www.guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. You can also join the conversation with Guerrillas RV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please consider on making a donation to help us keep making the podcast you love. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.